World Antigua and Barbuda seek U.S. review of visa restrictions and bond program.
U.S. reports first 2 deaths linked to foodborne diarrhea outbreak.
In sports, Abdullah Shafiq slams unbeaten century to put Pakistan in charge of second test against West Indies.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, former Prime Minister Bruce Golding has accused the United States of placing increased pressure on Jamaica and other CARICOM countries through what he describes as unilateral foreign policy and decisions as well as demands.
What is being done to us is not friendship. Imposing arbitrary tariffs on us when we are struggling to make our goods competitive in a difficult market is not friendship.
We'll get reactions from social and political commentator Dr. Karen Dunkley and attorney Wayne Golding.
In the nation's business at 6:25, Agriculture Minister Floyd Green is seeking to assure farmers that more drought mitigation support is on the way as farmers continue to reel from the impact of drought conditions. Minister Green will join us.
Taking you around the world at 6:45, wildfires have forced around 60,000 people to evacuate parts of Washington state. You'll hear more. And at 7, it's the comments section. This evening, we're asking, are you happy with the counselor in your local government division? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. And feel free to message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM. All these and more as we take you home on air, Nationwide 90 FM, this Monday afternoon. It's Monday, August 3, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Water supply restrictions across sections of Kingston and St. Andrew are now in effect. The measures announced last week take effect today, Monday, as inflows into the Mona Reservoir continue to decline. Dana Davey tells us more.
The National Water Commission, NWC, says the restrictions apply to customers served by the Mona and Hope water supply networks and are necessary because of significantly reduced inflows caused by the ongoing dry conditions. The Commission says storage at Mona stood at 58.1% this morning. That is down from about 62% last Thursday when the NWC briefed the media on the drought. Most customers on the Mona network will now receive supply between 6 in the morning and 6 in the evening daily. The affected communities include New Kingston, Crossroads, Downtown Kingston, Mountain View, Vineyard Town, Rollington Town, Franklin Town, Trench Town, Denham Town, Rose Town, Jones Town, Hannah Town, Almond Town, Norman Gardens, Rockfort, Eden Gardens, and sections of Lady Musgrave Road. On the Hope network, Gordon Town will be supplied from 6 in the morning to midday, and Kintyre from midday to 6 in the evening. 3 communities move to an alternate day schedule. August Town will be served on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Manley Avenue and Silvera Drive on Tuesdays and Fridays, and Goldsmith Villa on Sundays and Wednesdays. Areas including Hope Road, Mona Heights, Papine, Tavern, Ligony, Hopefield, Seymour, and Elliston Flats will continue to receive water from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening daily. The NWC says the latest outlook from the Meteorological Service indicates that hot and drier than normal conditions could persist into September and October. It's urging customers to conserve wherever possible and to manage stored water responsibly while the regulations remain in effect. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Transport Minister Darrell Vaz says the government will be reviewing the implementation of the Road Traffic Act, including the demerit points system, amid growing public concern over the legislation. He announced the review in a statement on Monday. Robian Williams reports.
Minister Darrell Vaz says he has directed a comprehensive review of all matters relating to the Act, including outstanding traffic tickets, the demerit point system, and the legal and policy implications of any proposed amendments. He says the review will involve consultations with key stakeholders, including the judiciary and other relevant institutions, to ensure the government's position is legally sound, practical, and in the best interest of Jamaicans. The minister says while there have been calls for a traffic ticket amnesty, any consideration of such a measure must be guided by the existing legal framework and established precedent. He adds that it would be premature for the government to make any definitive announcements before the review is completed. Vaz also pointed to the country's road safety challenges, noting that between April and June this year, Jamaica recorded 75 fatal crashes, resulting in 83 deaths. He says speeding accounted for nearly a quarter of those fatalities, underscoring that the Road Traffic Act is ultimately aimed at saving lives. According to the minister, a working team comprising representatives from the relevant ministries and agencies has been meeting since July. He says a preliminary report is expected in September and will help determine the government's final position, including whether a revised implementation date for the demerit point system will be necessary. He says the public will receive a further update once the review and consultations are completed. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding says the relationship between Jamaica and the United States has not been this toxic for more than 50 years. Golding was speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Monday. Shaloy Smikle reports.
Toxic and sour. That's how former Prime Minister Bruce Golding has described the existing relationship between Jamaica and the United States. And he does not see things improving during the current Trump administration.
Not for more than 50 years has the relationship between Jamaica and the United States become so tense, and I would even say toxic. Not since the Jamaican government expelled the U.S. ambassador back in the early 1970s, Vincent Deroule. Yeah, because of comments that he had made here, which the government found offensive. But not since that time has the relationship become so sour, so challenging, and we're going to have to live with it certainly for the next 2.5 years.
Golding first voiced his concerns about the diplomatic relations between Washington and Jamaica in his address at Team Jamaica Bickle's Jamaica 64th Independence Gala in Philadelphia, USA. He accused the U.S. of placing increasing pressure on Jamaica and other CARICOM states through what he describes as unilateral foreign policy decisions and demands. According to Golding, the move was creating disunity in the region, with individual leaders minded to exercise restraint. On Monday, the former Prime Minister listed a number of examples.
The evidence is in the arbitrary tariff that has been imposed on our exports to America. The evidence is in the third country national agreement that we were required to sign. The evidence is in the fact that we had to tell the Cuban doctors and nurses, thank you very much, but you have to go home. We're being told what to do. Our foreign policy is no longer our domain. Our foreign policy is being dictated from Washington. This is not how countries are supposed to work with each other. If we were a big country with the kind of population that, say, Brazil has, Brazil's population, I believe, is almost 200 million, with a large market that America can't mess with, then we would be able to take a firmer position. But poor little Jamaica.
Golding says he made the strategic decision at the gala not to enlist diaspora help to advocate on Jamaica's behalf.
I didn't want to place members of the diaspora at risk. Those that are on green cards could lose green cards. And even those that are U.S. citizens now, while they may not be able to lose their citizenship, they may one day wake up and find that they are the subject of some DOJ investigation, or they may receive an IRS tax audit, because that's the way the game is being played in America now. If you run across the administration, you are to be punished so that you fall in line. And I didn't want to expose members of the diaspora to that kind of jeopardy.
Shaloy Smikle for Nationwide News.
A former head of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, JCSA, is calling for an immediate moratorium on the recovery of more than $200 million in salary overpayments made to public sector workers under the compensation restructuring exercise. O'Neill Grant, who is now an industrial relations consultant, says the automated clawbacks have left thousands of public servants facing acute monthly cash deficits. He wants the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to convert the recoveries into multi-year interest-free repayment schedules that stay within the statutory 1/6 ceiling on gross pay deductions. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The analysis came from O'Neill Grant, who is now an industrial relations consultant. He says the overpayments came out of manual backdated payroll calculations during the rollout and are concentrated in finance, education, and the works portfolios. The restructuring carried out between 2022 and 2025 collapsed 325 separate salary scales and more than 185 allowances into 16 pay bands. Grant, who was JCSA president when the framework was negotiated, credits the exercise with making 100% of public sector income pensionable and with unlocking borrowing capacity for workers who had been shut out of mortgages because lenders discounted their allowances. But he argues those gains are now being eroded. According to him, compressing the old grade structure has created inverted authority lines, with some entry-level technical officers who receive overtime and shift premiums earning more than their direct supervisors. He says officers are refusing promotion as a result because moving up a band can mean taking a pay cut. Grant is also calling for the flat $100 per kilometer travel rate to be scrapped and replaced with what he terms a dynamic mileage index tied to fuel prices, currency movement, and imported parts costs. He wants that index to carry a premium of between 15 and 30% for officers working deep rural routes. Over the long term, he says the government should amend the fiscal rules to anchor the public wage bill at 13% of GDP by 2030. He puts the current figure above 13.5%. Grant says the JCSA is pressing for an inflation parity adjustment for the 2025 to 2028 contract cycle and for full indemnification against the overpayments. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
5:14.
Termites, rodents, or birds infesting your home or office? Call Rentokil Initial, the pest expert, at 876-926-4236 for a free pest assessment island-wide. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 32 in Montego Bay.
Hey, turn up to 25. Turn up to 25. Could I drive out fresh in a MG ride with a staycation all-inclusive flex? Yeah. I touch a million cash. Yes, smart TV, PS5, and home upgrade.
Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel. Sign up or switch to postpaid or Digicel Plus. Buy a SIM. Top up with 5 bills or more. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. A smartphone deal or just pay your bill. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion period June 24 to September 5, 2026. Visit DigicelJamaica.com for terms and conditions.
Continuing the news, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says increasing the trading relationship between Jamaica and Africa continues to be a priority of his administration. The Prime Minister was speaking at a media briefing at his office on Monday morning following bilateral talks held with President of the Republic of Ghana, John Mahama.
Africa is the fastest growing continent, both in terms of demographics and in terms of their economies. What I've tried to do is to find meaningful, tangible ways in which we can bring this cooperation to fulfillment. We have made great progress with Afrexim Bank being able to access financing for trade and investment from Africa. We have companies in Jamaica that are doing business right now as we speak in Ghana, and we are hoping to attract investment from Ghana in Jamaica.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, President Mahama is in Jamaica for an official state visit to commemorate the country's emancipation and independence celebrations. President Mahama says he wants to see the duty-free trading of goods between Africa and the Caribbean.
Meanwhile, President Mahama says biennial meetings will be held between Jamaica and Ghana to ensure trade relations are deepened. This includes establishing digital enhancements that have eased trade among African and Caribbean countries.
We're now setting up the platform so that we can do settlements in our own currencies. And once that is done, it will make it easier because we don't need to exchange our currencies into somebody else's currency before we buy. And the settlement will be done digitally. And so that will all enhance trade. Now that we have activated the Permanent Joint Commission for Cooperation to give us a framework and give us a measurable tool for looking at the progress we're making. We've agreed we'll meet every 2 years, vice versa in Kingston and then in Accra. So if we meet, we can tell what progress we've made, and if we need to make any adjustments, we can do so.
John Mahama, President of Ghana.
West Portland MP Darrell Vaz says he's unfazed by a new wave of attacks from what he calls PNP operatives on social media, whom he claims are seeking to damage his reputation. In a statement on Friday, Vaz says he has taken note of numerous videos alluding to the revocation of his United States visa a few years ago. Vaz says it's clear those PNP operatives have not learned their lesson.
I have seen the postings on social media as it relates to the re-emergence of my visa revocation matter. Let me indicate again that I was cleared of these unfounded, politically based allegations by both the U.S. authorities and the Jamaican authorities, hence my visa being fully reinstated. Again, it seems as if the PNP operatives have not learned their lesson from their General Secretary's apology and retraction.
Darrell Vaz, MP for West Portland. Vaz's U.S. visa was reinstated in September 2021. Following the reinstatement, former U.S. Ambassador to Kingston, Donald Tapia, admitted that an error was made when the visa was revoked. Ambassador Tapia says the U.S. was misled. He also suggested that inaccurate information was provided to U.S. authorities by a senior member of the opposition PNP.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The government of Antigua and Barbuda has launched a diplomatic push to persuade the United States to remove the twin island nation from recently imposed visa restrictions and the newly established U.S. visa bond program. Prime Minister Gaston Brown has written to President Donald Trump requesting a review of the measures affecting Antiguan and Barbuda nationals. The Antigua and Barbuda's embassy in Washington has also submitted a diplomatic note to the U.S. Secretary of State seeking an early review of the country's continued inclusion in the measures.
Michigan health officials have confirmed that 2 people have died from complications associated with the ongoing Cyclospora outbreak. The illness is a parasitic infection spread through contaminated food or water, which causes severe diarrhea. Health authorities say the 2 individuals had significant underlying health conditions that was impacted by the disease and dehydration. The illness has spread to 45 states with nearly 7,000 confirmed cases reported nationwide. Michigan is at the epicenter of the outbreak and has recorded more than 11,000 cases so far.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, water supply restrictions across sections of Kingston and St. Andrew now in effect.
Government to review the implementation of the demerit points system under the Road Traffic Act following widespread outcry.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding says the Jamaica-US relationship has not been this toxic for more than 50 years.
Government focused on increasing trading relationship between Jamaica and African countries.
I'm Robeanne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com, and please feel free to join the Nationwide Family Club at patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. News next, the headlines at 6.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Here Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story, aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Cover Story is brought to you by JTA Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Multilink, roll with control. Use Multilink, safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. We start with the news on cricket. Abdullah Shafiq crafted a superb unbeaten century to put Pakistan in charge at close on day 2 of the second cricket test against West Indies, been played at the Queen's Park Oval in Port of Spain. Shafiq cracked 10 fours and 2 sixes in a well-played unbeaten 107 to steer the visitors to 206 to 6 for 2 at close, and they're replying to 344 all-out made by the West Indies. Shafiq has so far shared in an unbroken third wicket stand of 168 with his captain Babar Azam, who is not out on 86. Shamar Joseph and Jomel Warwick and the vice captain have so far taken the wickets for the West Indies. The Windies resumed on 239 for 5, and they were eventually dismissed for 344. Informed Justin Greaves led the batting. He got 73, and he was supported by Ruston Chase, the captain, who chipped in with a 70. Pakistani spinner Sajid Khan was a pick of the bowler. He bagged the 4 for 84, and the West Indies, they lead the 2-match series after winning the first test by 90 runs at the Brian Lara Stadium in Tarouba last week. Jamaica's junior national women's netball team delivered a dominant display on Monday at the CSE Games in the Dominican Republic. They crushed the host nation 6-7-12. The Jamaican men's hockey team also secured a hard-fought victory, beating the Bermuda team by a goal to nil to continue their campaign on a winning note. In men's basketball, Jamaica fell 66-47 to Guatemala in a tough outing. Meanwhile, the men's 3-on-3 basketball team experienced mixed results. Jamaica first claimed a thrilling 20-19 win over Venezuela in the 58th place playoff before they lost 21-17 to Haiti in the 5th place competition. And Kumi Bawaji advanced to the final of the men's 100 meters after winning semifinal 3 in 10.19. In the women's semifinals, Krista Slowly advanced to the final after finishing 3rd in semifinal 3. She clocked 11.49 seconds. Now, the war is closing in on Gianni Infantino because the leaders of UEFA, CONCACAF, and the Asian Football Confederation have reportedly formed an alliance aimed at removing him from the FIFA presidency. The FIFA president is under huge pressure after he was forced to abandon a huge controversial proposal to sell stakes in the World Cup to a group led by Josh Kushner, the brother of Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared, following a major revolt from the footballing world. UEFA subsequently declared a loss of confidence in the Italian-Swiss administrator, while the English and Welsh FA are among several countries to withdraw their support from his re-election in March's election. That's next year. This has left Infantino fighting for his job, and he reported they held crunch talks with Washington on Monday. Of course, he held talks with the White House on Monday in a bid to help him survive. And now, according to reports, the leaders of the three confederations are preparing to paralyze FIFA if he refuses to resign. The report adds that they have several plans in place if the FIFA president insists on remaining in power and seeking a re-election next March in the election. And of course, the plans that they have include being prepared to stage their own rival international competitions, while they are also willing to impose a government boycott. Government boycott meaning that they would effectively refuse to either ratify FIFA decisions or be involved in council and committee meetings. And while heading to studios a short time ago, we understand that if Infantino decides to seek re-election next year, he will face competition prior to the announcement about selling the stakes in the FIFA World Cup. It was almost a showing that he was going to be returned unopposed like he was 4 years ago. This time, though, if he decides not to go and seek re-election, they're going to be going after him. The Jamaica Premier League champions, Portmore United, will become the first club to take the field in this year's CONCACAF Club Championship. They face the Dominican Republic outfit, Salcedo FC, and that game will be played on Tuesday at the Hazley Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain, Trinidad, kicking off at 5 o'clock Jamaica time. The match will mark a historic occasion for the Sunshine Cities club as Portmore United make their debut in the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Championship. Another Jamaican representative, Cavalier, they'll bow into action on Wednesday. They'll be away in the Dominican Republic. They'll be taking on Cibao FC. And the third Jamaican team is in the Caribbean Club Championship in Mount Pleasant Academy. Mauricio Pochettino has agreed a deal to continue as a manager of the United States men's national soccer football team until 2030. The former Tottenham and Chelsea boss, who has been in the post since September 2024, led co-host US to the last 16 of the 2026 FIFA World Cup before they were knocked out by Belgium. The new agreement will see Pochettino and his coaching staff having a greater remit in which they would also advise and support U.S. soccer on the broader development of the full national team pathway, youth soccer, coaching education, professional league, and collaboration and other technical facets. The U.S. finished top of their group at the World Cup with victories over Paraguay and Australia. They earned a 2-0 win over Bosnia-Herzegovina in the last 34 before they crashed 4-1 to Belgium. Finally, in sports at this time, veteran goal shooter Romelda Aiken-George says she's hoping the team showing at the recent Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland, will be the catalyst for more corporate sponsors to the national program. Jamaica won their second straight silver medal at the Games after losing to New Zealand in the final on Sunday. The campaign was highlighted by a stunning victory over the defending champion and world number one Australia. Aiken-George says the team has proven itself time and again, and she's now hoping the Glasgow showing will force sponsors to take a more favorable look.
I hope for our silver medal this time around we will, start to generate some sponsors for our group. Our girls have been so dedicated and they try everything that they can. We go out to try and find resources for us. But I hope this time around it actually gets to generate more people coming to watch, to sponsor us.
Aiken-George says though they didn't win the gold, silver is okay, given that they were asked to beat the best two teams in the world on back-to-back days.
Yeah, not the color I wanted, but I feel like it's still a win for us. It's just the small moments for us that just means big step. And I think for us to play against such a quality team, it's huge learning. Most of the girls on the team have so much experience. But yeah, we're learning and we're super grateful that we got the opportunity to play on the final day.
And the 37-year-old Aiken George says she is not ready to pack it in just yet.
I say never. There's other opportunities. There's World Cup coming up, so yeah, never say never. I said I retired at the end of last season, and I'm still going. So.
All right, that's Romelda Aiken George, national shooter for the netball team. And that will do it for sport. We're going to be back though at 6:05 with much more in our major sportscast. Aldrich Swaby will be back to do that for you.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32.
From the vibrant waterfront setting of Ocho Rios Bay Beach to the breathtaking seascape of Laughing Waters, discover exceptional venues for your special events. The temperature by the Urban Development Corporation is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's at 32 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Get ready for the Kingston Bookshop Grand Back to School Fair, powered by Nationwide 90 FM. Join us Saturday, August 15 from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 31 East Tradeway, Portmore. Enjoy free admission, free back to school medicals for students, exciting special discounts, free rides, vendor booths, special performances, and the chance to win in-store prizes and surprises. Don't miss this fun-filled day for the entire family. Prepare for the new school year with Kingston Bookshop. For more information, visit Kingston Bookshop on Facebook and Instagram. See you there!
We need a bigger office where we can see more clients. Sounds like ambition is calling and Access Financial Services is answering. The funds are waiting.
Boss, this can't wait for one truck, you know.
I know. We need another truck. Sounds like you have a plan and Access Financial Services can help. Horizon, a new loan product from Access Financial Services designed for women entrepreneurs to unlock the capital you need to grow and take your business beyond limits. With quick approval, flexible repayment, and low interest rates, your success is on the horizon.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honey Bee.
And Karim Boyatings
From 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. What you said.
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezone blinddates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblinddates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. Welcome. It's time for Nationwide at 5, and I'm your host, as always, Siobhan Campbell. I trust Monday has been pleasant for you, and those who've been with us all day, I hope you've enjoyed the very energetic Mrs. Kitty and her triumphant return back to Nationwide News. I've always been awed by Mrs. Kitty. She has such a jubilant personality. It's just hard to match her high energy, and it's just a pleasure to have her back. But today we have serious matters to discuss, listeners and viewers, because the United States has put us under severe stress. That's the view of former Prime Minister Bruce Golding as he accused the United States of placing increasing pressure on Jamaica and other CARICOM states through what he describes as unilateral foreign policy decisions and demands. He made the comment on the weekend while speaking at Team Jamaica Bickle's Jamaica 64th Independence Gala in Philadelphia.
What is being done to us is not friendship. Imposing arbitrary tariffs on us when we are struggling to make our goods competitive in a difficult market is not friendship. Dictating to us who we must do business with is not friendship. Forcing us to accept foreign deportees when we are struggling to look after our own people, that is not friendship. True friends don't abuse your friendship. They don't make unreasonable demands of you. They should be there to help you out. Holding a gun to your head and insisting that you must be reasonable and do things their way, that is not friendship. The United States has put us under severe stress. That's not what friends are for.
Golding highlighted the tariffs imposed on Jamaican exports, despite what he notes is a significant trade surplus in favor of the United States. He also highlighted Washington's opposition to Jamaica's relationship with China, the end of the Cuban Medical Mission Program, and the controversial Third Country Nationals arrangement as examples of how new rules by Washington are affecting the country. However, Golding is cautioning those who want the Holness administration to openly confront the United States.
The U.S. market accounts for a half of all of the goods that we export. If our exports to the U.S. were slapped with a 50% tariff, our manufacturing sector would fall apart and thousands of persons would be out of work. An airline ticket from Philadelphia to Montego Bay attracts federal taxes of around $65 US. Bear in mind that America accounts for 70% of the tourists who come to Jamaica. But if one morning you were to hear that the tax on airline tickets from the United States to Jamaica will now carry an additional tax of $200, you know what that would mean to our tourism industry? Instead of paying an extra $200 to come to Jamaica, they'll go somewhere else. And again, thousands of hotel workers would be out of work.
In the meantime, the former Prime Minister says the relationship between Jamaica and the United States has not been this toxic for more than 50 years. Golding made that comment while speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Monday.
Not for more than 50 years has the relationship between Jamaica and the United States become so tense, and I would even say toxic. Not since the Jamaican government expelled the U.S. ambassador back in the early 1970s, Vincent Deroulé. Yeah, because of comments that he had made here, which the government found offensive. But not since that time has the relationship become so challenging, and we're going to have to live with it certainly for the next 2.5 years.
Bruce Golding, former Prime Minister. Well, for reactions to what Golding has suggested, we're being joined by social and political commentator Dr. Karen Dunkley and attorney Wayne Golding. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon to you and your listeners.
Good afternoon to you both. Starting with the lady as usual, Dr. Dunkley. What do you make of Mr. Golding's assessment? I mean, usually we've heard similar assessment, but this one to me seemed far more grounded and pragmatic than the usual commentary when you hear coming regarding the United States pressure on the CARICOM region.
Yes, absolutely. So we know, as you stated, and just in listening to the comments from former Prime Minister Golding, that this is certainly not new because we are small states like Jamaica and the collective as CARICOM. The relationship is certainly asymmetrical. But here is what we can say. And former Prime Minister Golding stated quite eloquently, right? That the current international environment has changed. So what we have seen as a more assertive U.S. foreign policy stance when it comes to China, when it comes to sanctions on countries like Cuba and Venezuela, when it comes to what America is deeming security cooperation, migration, and even supply chain resilience. We see that Washington is very assertive, and if you will, if you may, might even say it's has compelled smaller states like Jamaica to fall in line simply because of the asymmetry, because Jamaica depends so heavily on the U.S., as we know, for trade, tourism, remittances, security cooperation, and investment. So my initial reaction, it's not a new phenomena, but we're living in an interesting period in which we have seen the U.S. asserting more of its autonomy instead of allowing states such as Jamaica and the collective as CARICOM to have some strategic autonomy.
And Wayne Golding, I'd like you to come in as well. What do you make of the former Prime Minister's comments regarding the United States and I want to say more accurate, the pressure coming from the Trump White House at this point?
Well, I must say, based on my experience and the history of the United States and its relationship with Jamaica and other smaller states in the Caribbean, this is nothing new. We're seeing more and more public pronouncement in terms of what they actually want these countries to do or not to do. I think that's the only difference. If you speak to diplomats along the way, former prime ministers, former foreign affairs ministers, you'll hear that this has always been the strategy of the United States. You know, they often call it the big stick strategy
Monroe Doctrine.
Coming from the Monroe Doctrine. It's just that there's more of a public pronouncement on exactly what the United States is looking for to be done in its best interest. And the problem is that the current government and any government that is running Jamaica, while you have the U.S. in play, is going to have to capitulate and is going to have to work hard diplomatically behind the scenes to put Jamaica in a better place. So, you know, one of the things that the government has to do is to be honest with the country and tell them why it is that they're acquiescing to certain decisions and not really, you know, cover it over. Just be honest with the people. People will understand because Jamaica has been going through this for a long time.
You say it's nothing new, but certainly the scale of the pressure. I mean, I understand, yes, the United States has always had its very soft power and hard power ways of going about its diplomacy, but certainly in more recent times under this current administration, that extreme level of interference within local governments and the level at which the current administration will go in order to get its way through almost unilateral action without any attempt at negotiation is quite unprecedented.
I would still say no, because if you look back at the history of South America and the Caribbean and the American influence on their policy within their own borders, you'll see that sort of interference. Jamaica has that strong history, and Mr. Golding would understand that as part of the Jamaica Labour Party, who actually benefited in the 70s from American interference because of what the policy of America was and still is. And one must understand that Jamaica is not special. You talk about friendship, yes, but Jamaica is not special because the whole world is feeling the same type of pressure that you're talking about that Jamaica is. So the question is, how can Jamaica negotiate? Do we negotiate from a point of weakness, or do we have a point of strength to negotiate with the United States? And that is really the question that needs to be answered.
And that's a question we'll turn to after this short break. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us while we go off.
Visit
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and it's 31 out west in Montego Bay.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere, spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multi-link?
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Save fast and accepted in more locations.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the Cover Story. We're talking with social and political commentator Dr. Karen Dunkley and attorney Wayne Golding regarding Bruce Golding's opinion on what he believes to be the unprecedented level of pressure, the almost, as he called, placing Jamaica and other CARICOM nations under severe stress by the current United States administration. So, Dr. Dunkley, and I suppose Wayne Golding made a valid point here. What should be the response coming from the Caribbean? How do you negotiate under the current realities as brought by the United States? And if you listen to the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, he gives, as I said, a pragmatic assessment suggesting that we are not in the kind of position where you can just openly challenge and attack or somehow bite the hand of the United States, noting the uneven trade or reliance on them for tourism, etc. Do you believe that's the right message that the former Prime Minister is putting forward?
Absolutely. And I did endorse that piece just in terms of the asymmetry and our over reliance. So I think that there are 5 points which compel us to continue to engage with the United States. As a collective, Jamaica by itself is not going to have the political influence or the capital to really bring about the outcomes necessary. So, of course, as former Prime Minister stated, we must maintain constructive engagement with the United States, as the U.S. remains one of Jamaica's largest trading partner and certainly a major source of tourism, as we've mentioned, investment and remittance. So we have to keep and continue the diplomatic channels open. What is fascinating is that there has to be a level of negotiation that must take place around specific issues on tariffs and migration and security. And this brings me to my second point around a unified CARICOM position. What has been missing, in my estimation and many others, is that the member states of CARICOM really ought to coordinate their positions on the different policy issues so they can have greater influence in larger discussions. And I think that that has been the ongoing dilemma of CARICOM. You know, it's the enduring heartbreak is what is CARICOM's unified position when it comes onto its relationships with these major states as a collective, not just Jamaica versus this one or that one, that internal politics. And then, of course, there's a space for economic partnerships. We must continue to diversify, right? So I know that we have some flack coming around our relationship with China, but what about Europe? What about Canada? What about Latin America? I looked at what NAFTA did in terms of Mexico and how it realigned just Mexican trade and Mexican output to the world and with the United States. And I think that Jamaica and CARICOM need to expand trade and investment. And then for me, let's think about regional economic integration. When I go to Trinidad and Guyana, I don't see too many goods, and that might be a production problem. That's made in Jamaica. When I'm in Jamaica, I see a lot of goods that come from the other CARICOM partners. So we really need to think about how we leverage trade and investment within CARICOM, how we improve our transportation links. It is actually easier and a smarter travel and supply chain for me to get items from the United States or from Canada, from North America to Jamaica versus into CARICOM region. It's very difficult to transport and to harmonize regulations among CARICOM countries. I think we have argued long enough. We have sat in this seat of discussion long enough. And I think it's time that CARICOM must produce, like the European Union, a set of guiding behaviors and outcomes to really benefit the region. And then the third is simply this: just build relationships with major powers. I don't think we allow any one country to tell us, to dictate who we must talk to. It's like your friend will tell you, oh, you can only speak to that person. I think we should avoid being overly dependent on any one country. So that is what I would say. And something for Jamaica, I must say this, and I'm sure the other CARICOM countries will concur. We must focus on our domestic resilience. So our investment in education, our own infrastructure, energy security, our food security. We see so much conversation around food security and digital services. These are the kinds of approaches that will make a country such as Jamaica better able to withstand these changes in international politics, focusing on Jamaica's domestic resilience.
And I hear you, Dr. Dunkley, but on the question of CARICOM specifically, under the circumstances when you have the opinion, for example, Madam Besessa over there in Trinidad, and you have the just very varying different opinions as to how to deal with the United States and the pressure that it is imposing on the region, is CARICOM as it exists today capable of resisting that pressure?
I think they have to build the resilience and resist the pressure. The pressure. So here's what we have. When we're disunited in our approach, we're going to get this outcome, as you stated, where the left is moving left and the right is moving right, and we're not moving together. One thing the United States understands, and certainly Trump and the Republicans understand, is that a house divided will not stand. And I think you make an excellent point, but we must have a practical approach. We have to lay out our priorities. We have to have some truth and reconciliation. It is not enough for us as small states to have these deep divisions that bring no outcomes, especially long term. So I think CARICOM needs to build its infrastructure and its own resilience and have that practical approach. It's not a kumbaya moment. It's not a moment to say we shall overcome. It's a moment to say what is necessary. That is leadership at this moment in time to preserve our countries, but also their posterity in terms of the legacy for the future generation.
And Wayne Golding, again raised by Dr. Dunkley, if the hawk in the west is, or the eagle I should say in this case, in the west is giving you trouble, why don't you find succor with the dragon over in the east? But isn't there a geographic reality here that we have to deal with as a CARICOM region, considering the United States' proximity to us comparative to China in the east?
Absolutely. And that is one thing people have to accept the reality. Like the former prime minister said, there are certain realities of the situation and the relationship that you have to accept, because if the plug is pulled on you in the West, you can't look to the East to fulfill what is not going to be there anymore. So what Dr. Dunkley spoke about is already being done and has been explored for many years. I see an expansion now, even with Mr. Patterson's opinion on Africa and how the Caribbean countries, Jamaica in particular, should start looking to Africa for some economic sort of relationship. There are many other opportunities out there, but I would say this: for us who are looking on, it seems very easy to do, but the leaders have to consider the position of Jamaica, what the disadvantages are, who should open their mouth and speak. Mr. Golden can speak, and probably he may be speaking for other people. But the reality is that the government has to be careful how it moves with that relationship. The government has to employ those diplomatic steps that oftentimes the public does not see or know about. Right now, I think this week you have the president of Ghana visiting Jamaica. These are things that Jamaica needs to look into long term. It cannot be a knee jerk reaction to what's out in the public sphere as far as announcements and policy changes. That somebody has to sit back and take a long-term vision on where we want Jamaica to be as a trading partner with the rest of the world, and what percentage would benefit us to expand into other sections of the world. And I'm pretty sure there are much brighter people than myself or Dr. Dunkley who are sitting and mulling these things over. But the knee-jerk reaction to what's happening, the reality is that Jamaica is not in that tenable position where they can dictate or even push back.
And just finally, then, Dr. Dunkley, just your assessment, so to speak, all that we've said today, do you believe that the Prime Minister has handled the situation as best as he could? And I mean the current Prime Minister, as in Dr. Andrew Holness, has handled the situation as best as he could, considering what has outlined here by the former Prime Minister, the realities on the ground?
Absolutely. I think that Prime Minister, Dr. Holness, has really been very pragmatic. As Attorney Golden stated, cannot be knee jerk. And we have overemphasized, well, we can't even overemphasize the asymmetrical relationship. So we have to move strategically, and we have to think about the long term and the short term and the unintended impact of actions. And the Prime Minister and his team have certainly been very pragmatic in their foreign policy in terms of maintaining close ties with the United States while also working through CARICOM and engaging a range of international partners. So we know that this approach tends to be broadly consistent with how many Caribbean governments seem to protect both their national and regional interests. So I absolutely support the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness's approach. And let me state this emphatically. What I find interesting and very nuanced, and I don't know, Attorney Golden, in your social discussion circles, how they show up, how it shows up. But so many persons are willing to criticize and said, Jamaica should just do this and the Prime Minister should do that. And you know, they said where ignorance is bliss is folly to be wise, because without context, it will not make sense. So the Prime Minister has to think about the entire country, along with, of course, we have an erudite foreign minister in Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. So my answer is an absolute yes.
We don't have much time, but I suppose it would be unfair not to put the same question to you, Wayne Golding. We have a minute. If you could give me your assessment of the Prime Minister Dr. Holness's approach to international affairs at this point in time.
Well, I couldn't tell you yes or no because I don't know what's happening on the inside. All I can tell you is from the public point of view is that the majority of the public are not fools. They know exactly what the pressures are and what's going on. And I think the demand from the public is a more honest conversation with the public to say, look, we're in an untenable position, and these are the reasons why we have to make some of these decisions for the good of the country at whole. But I don't think the country at large is satisfied with the explanations that are given because you don't leave your common sense at home. And I think that's where you find some dissatisfaction. But on a whole, leaders of the country, whether in the opposition or the government, have to look out for the best interest of Jamaica at the end of the day, and what they would say in public and do in public that would possibly hurt the country.
Well put. That's attorney Wayne Golding, and we also have the social and political commentator Dr. Karen Dunkley. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Take care.
The headlines are next, listeners. Please stay tuned, and we're back here at 6:25 for the nation's business.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6:00.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Water supply regulations across sections of Kingston and St. Andrew are now in effect. The measures announced last week take effect today, Monday, as inflows into the Mona Reservoir continue to decline. The National Water Commission says storage at Mona stood at 58.1% this morning. Most customers on the Mona network will now receive supply between 6 in the morning and 6 in the evening daily. On the Hope network, Gordontown will be supplied from 6 in the morning to midday and Kintyre from midday to 6 in the evening. Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding says the relationship between Jamaica and the United States has not been this toxic for more than 50 years. Golding was speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Monday.
Not for more than 50 years has the relationship between Jamaica and the United States become so tense, and I would even say toxic. Not since the Jamaican government expelled the U.S. ambassador back in the early 1970s, Vincent Deroulé. Yeah, because of comments that he had made here, which the government found offensive. But not since that time has the relationship become so sour, so challenging, and we're going to have to live with it certainly for the next 1.5 years.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. Golding first voiced his concerns about the diplomatic relations between Washington and Jamaica in his address at Team Jamaica Bickles's Jamaica 64th Independence Gala in Philadelphia, U.S. Golding says he made the strategic decision at the gala not to enlist diaspora help to advocate on Jamaica's behalf.
I didn't want to place members of the diaspora at risk. Those that are on green cards could lose green cards. And even those that are U.S. citizens now, while they may not be able to lose their citizenship, they may one day wake up and find that they are the subject of some DOJ investigation, or they may receive an IRS tax audit, because that's the way the game is being played in America now. If you run across the administration, you are to be punished so that you fall in line. And I didn't want to expose members of the diaspora to that kind of jeopardy.
Bruce Golding, former Prime Minister of Jamaica. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz says the government will be reviewing the implementation of the Road Traffic Act, including the demerit points system, amid growing public concern over the legislation. He announced the review in a statement on Monday. He says the review will involve consultations with key stakeholders, including the judiciary and other relevant institutions, to ensure the government's position is legally sound, practical, and in the best interest of Jamaicans. The minister says while there have been calls for a traffic ticket amnesty, any consideration of such a measure must be guided by the existing legal framework and established precedent. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says increasing the trading relationship between Jamaica and Africa continues to be a priority of his administration. The Prime Minister was speaking at a media briefing at his office on Monday morning, following bilateral talks held with the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Mahama.
Africa is the fastest growing continent, both in terms of demographics and in terms of their economies. What I've tried to do is to find meaningful, tangible ways in which we can bring this cooperation to fulfillment. We have made great progress with Afrexim Bank being able to access financing for trade and investment from Africa. We have companies in Jamaica that are doing business right now as we speak in Ghana, and we are hoping to attract investment from Ghana in Jamaica.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, President Mahama is in Jamaica for an official state visit to commemorate the country's emancipation and independence celebrations. President Mahama says he wants to see the duty-free trading of goods between Africa and the Caribbean. He also says biennial meetings will be held between Jamaica and Ghana to ensure trade relations are deepened. The government is working swiftly to assist farmers impacted by a major fire which affected agricultural lands in Little Park, Gillard, and Pedro Plains in southwest St. Elizabeth on Friday. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says reports indicate that the blaze impacted approximately 20 farmers.
We had an unfortunate incident in St. Elizabeth yesterday where a number of farmers, in fact about 20 farmers, would have suffered some losses from a fire which broke out, consuming about 50 hectares of agricultural land in Little Park, Gillards, down in southwest St. Elizabeth. The RADA team has already been dispatched. They have gone, they have already taken note of the losses of the farmers.
He says the farmers recorded a number of losses.
We already recognize that most of the farmers lost permanent secondary storage tanks. About 20 storage tanks we've already accounted for that have been lost. A lot of them lost grass that they were preparing for mulch. Some of them lost triples. I want to assure the farmers that help is on its way. And I think they know by now when we have issues of that nature, we will support the farmers to get back up and running as quickly as possible.
Floyd Green, Minister of Agriculture. Minister Green was speaking at the Denby Agricultural, Industrial and Food Show on Saturday, August 1. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Upper Total Tools.
Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
If you've ever called in, shared your story, or got help on this show, then you're already family. Now make it official. Join the nationwide 90FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Good evening with your sports reporter. I'm Alex Webby. We bowl things off with some cricket as Abdullah Shafiq crafted a superb unbeaten century to put Pakistan in charge at close on day 2 of the second test against West Indies at the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad on Monday. Shafiq cracked 10 fours and 2 sixes in a well-played unbeaten 107 to steer the visitors to 266 for 2 at close, replying to the West Indies' first innings 344 all out. Shafiq has so far shared in an unbroken third wicket stand of 168 with his captain Babar Azam, who is not out 86. Samar Joseph and Jamel Warrican have so far taken the wickets to fall. The Windies resumed on 239 for 5 and were eventually dismissed for 344. Informed Justin Grieve led the batting with 73. He was supported by captain Ruston Chase, who chipped in with 70. Pakistan spinner Shajid Khan, was the pick of the bowlers, capturing 4 for 85. West Indies led the two-match series after victory by 90 runs last Wednesday in Tarouba. Jamaica's junior national women's netball team delivered a dominant performance on Monday at the CSE Games in the Dominican Republic, crushing the host nation, the Dominican Republic, 67-12. The Jamaican men's hockey team also secured a hard-fought victory, edging Bermuda 1-0 to continue their campaign on a winning note. In the men's basketball, Jamaica fell 66-47 to Guatemala. Meanwhile, the men's 3-on-3 basketball team experienced mixed fortunes. Jamaica first claimed a thrilling 20-19 victory over Venezuela in the 5th to 8th place playoff before losing 21-17 to Haiti in the 5th place match. And Kume Boaji advanced to the final of the men's 100 meters after winning semifinal 3 in 10.19 seconds. In the women's semifinals, Crystal Slowly advanced to the final after finishing third in semifinal 3 in 11.49. Malik James posted 49.30 seconds to win semifinal 1 and advance to the final of the men's 400 meters hurdles. Ramara Stewart also qualified after finishing second in semifinal 2 in 49.77 seconds. Now to football, as the leaders of UEFA, CONCACAF and the Asian Football Confederation have reportedly formed an alliance aimed at removing FIFA President Gianni Infantino from office. The FIFA president is under huge pressure after he was forced to abandon a hugely controversial proposal to sell stakes in the World Cup to a group led by Josh Kushner, the brother of Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared, following a major revolt from the footballing world. UEFA subsequently declared a loss of confidence in the Italian-Swiss administrator, while the English and Welsh FA are among several countries to withdraw their support for his re-election in next March's elections. This has left Infantino fighting for his job, and he reportedly had crunch talks with the White House on Monday in a bid to help him survive. And now, according to reports, the leaders of 3 confederations are preparing to paralyze FIFA if he refuses to resign. The report adds that they have several plans in place if the FIFA president insists on remaining in power and seeking re-elections at next March's election. This includes being prepared to stage their own rival international competitions, while they are also willing to impose a government boycott. This would effectively mean they would refuse to either ratify FIFA decisions or be involved in council and committee meetings. Now, history is on the horizon for Jamaica's under-20 Reggae Boys as they clash with Canada at the quarterfinals of the ongoing Under-20 World Cup qualifying campaign on Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Jamaica time. A victory for the young Reggae Boys would end their 25-year wait and book their second appearance at the Under-20 FIFA World Cup. Alian Whitaker, who was part of the country's historic 2001 squad, revealed that this campaign mirrors that campaign.
After qualifying for the Under-20 tournament in Argentina in 2001, it has been 25 years since, and watching this Under-20 team, been following them throughout their campaign, I felt the same energy, I felt the same vibes. I see the team gel together, like what Coach Aston is doing and Coach Dunzel along with the Under-17 team. And I feel the same energy with the Under-20 team, likewise we did in Canada 2001. And coincidentally, we needed a draw against Canada or a positive result, and we got a 0-0 result and we advanced to the Under-20 World Cup in Argentina.
Whitaker added that he's pleased with the growth of the Under-20 youth program, noting that qualifying for the World Cup would garner more local interest in the sport.
It has not been the best, but you definitely see the growth. And some effort being put into it. Might not be the best standard, might not been where it's supposed to be, but kudos to whosoever is putting in the work to letting it be where it is today. And I like the vibe, and I hope the Under-20 team qualify, the desired result and qualify. It will mean a real, especially being that our senior team, we still have the bitter taste of our senior team in our mouths today.
Alan Whitaker. Now, Jamaica Premier League champions Portman United will become the first Jamaican club to take to the field in this year's CONCACAF Caribbean Club Cup when they face Dominican Republic outfit Salcedo FC on Tuesday. The Group B encounter is scheduled to kick off at 5 p.m. Jamaica time at the Hazel Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. The match will mark a historic occasion for the Sunshine City Club as Portmore United make their debut in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup competition. Another Jamaican representative, Cavalier FC, will open its campaign on Wednesday when they travel to the Dominican Republic to face Ciboa FC. That contest is set for 7 p.m. Jamaica time. Now to some netballers, veteran goal shooter Romelda Aiken-George says she's hoping the team's showing at the recent Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland will be the catalyst for more corporate sponsors for the national program. Jamaica won their second straight silver medal at the Games after losing to New Zealand in Sunday's final. The campaign was highlighted by a stunning semi-final victory over defending champions and world's #1 Australia. Aiken-George says the team has proven itself time and time again, and she hopes the Glasgow showing will force sponsors to take a more favorable look.
I hope for our silver medal this time around we will, start to generate some sponsors for our group. Our girls have been so dedicated and they try everything that they can. We go out to try and find resources for us. But I hope this time around it actually gets to generate more people coming to watch, to sponsor us.
Aiken-George says though they didn't manage to win the gold, silver isn't bad, given they were asked to be the two best teams in the world on back-to-back days.
Yeah, not the color I wanted, but I feel like it's still a win for us. It's just the small moments for us that just means big step. And I think for us to play against such a quality team, it's huge learning. Most of the girls on the team have so much experience. But yeah, we're learning and we're super grateful that we got the opportunity to play on the final day.
Romelda Aiken-George. Now to some horse races, as the 106th running of the Jamaica Derby will take center stage at Caymanas Park on Independence Day, Thursday, August 6. A 16-horse field will set sights at a purse valued at $7.5 million, with the event contested over 12 furlongs. Neville Nelson, Vice President of Supreme Ventures and Entertainment Limited, stated that the iconic Jamaica Derby continues to be the most prestigious event in the country.
For over a century since Buck Dancer claimed victory in the inaugural 1921 running, the Jamaica Derby has stood as one of the crown jewels of the Caribbean racing. From that first starter to today's Grade 1 thoroughbreds, every breeder, owner, trainer, jockey and groom has not only chased hefty purses but also the glory of winning the greatest classic horse racing jurisdiction, the Jamaica Derby. Running over 12 furlongs, this race will test the speed, stamina and courage of our finest homegrown domicile 3-year-olds.
The field will include top contenders like Wijamin, Salute the Don and Dreamcatcher, fresh off winning the Jamaica Oaks. According to Nelson, this is also a win and you're in event for December's Mute Mile.
Come dressed in your Jamaican colors and join us for an amazing day of sport, culture, and celebration. Bring your families, bring your friends, and let us fill Caymanas Park with the energy, pride, and spirit that only a Jamaican crowd can bring. It is also the final jewel in our Triple Crown series. As with the last two stagings of the Jamaica Derby, the winners of this race will take home $7.5 million in purse and an automatic entry to the prestigious Mute Mile being held in December as part of our Win and You're In race series.
Neville Nelson. And finally, in track and field, veteran sports analyst Leighton Levy believes 800-meter athlete Navaske Anderson's tactics were spot on as he became the country's first male athlete to win an international 800-meter title. The national record holder stopped the clock at 1 minute 45.33 seconds to capture the title at the recently concluded Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland.
Navaske Anderson had the perfect race strategy. He tucked it behind the leaders, had them take the wind and burn that energy. And then when the time was right, he moved out on the outside and drove away from the field to within 1:45.33 ahead of Australia's Luke Boyce, who was one silver in 1:45.93, and Kenya's Wycliffe Kinyamal, who took the bronze in 1:46.12. Last year, Navaske Anderson was the first Jamaican to break 1:43, whereas with a national record of 1:42.76. He's now the first Jamaican to win Commonwealth or international gold.
Levy added that he was a bit surprised by what he saw from the team in Glasgow, Scotland.
I have to admit, I was skeptical about what this team could do at the Commonwealth Games. They delivered, and they delivered in a big way. Jamaica's best performance at the Commonwealth Games, I believe, was in 2006 with 22 medals. At time 18, and I don't think anybody can complain about that.
Leighton Levy, I'm Alex Swaby, that's your sports.
Whether you're heading back to school or pursuing new qualifications, at JMMB Bank, Graduate Loan covers your tuition and related expenses with one unsecured loan, flexible repayment terms, and up to 7 years to repay. It's your time to shine. Apply today at jmmb.com. Conditions apply.
From the biggest tracks to the biggest energy, Nationwide keeps it moving. If you love the vibes, come and lock in with us for real.
World boss, if a prison could stop me.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Practice. God, me say you watch you of me practice.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Wake up, Jamaica.
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m. Coming up in the news at 7. And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Ludwig McLean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday.
Happy birthday, yeah, my friend.
And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the Birthday Club.
Nationwide this morning on the revolution in media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else.
For those who want an energetic, rip-roaring start to their day.
He never shies away from taboo topics. Voyagings After Dark.
The most riveting discussions.
Voyagings After Dark.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings this and every Wednesday from 8 to 11 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
You can't miss.
What's buzzing?
Celebrity outfits.
Is that a hit or a miss?
Bust the odds.
Jamaica's Got Talent.
Wait, a war man.
Hot takes.
Talk up the takes.
Actual factual. Life is short. Voyagings After Dark.
Come get your mind blown.
And your curiosity explored.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. Welcome back for the nation's business. And it is a scorcher here in Jamaica and pretty much everywhere else at this point. And the drought affecting the country is continuing to place pressure on farmers and the agricultural sector. Minister of Agriculture Floyd Green says dry conditions remain a major concern. farmers across multiple parishes are reporting challenges related to water shortages and reduced production. Minister Green says the government is expanding drought mitigation efforts as conditions persist. A $150 million mitigation program announced earlier this year is already being implemented. This is with support being channeled through members of parliament to assist affected farmers. Additional measures are also being rolled out, including increased financial support and the trucking of water to designated drought-stricken communities. Minister Green also says farmers should prepare for continued dry conditions ahead based on projections from the meteorological services. And he joins us now. Good evening, Minister.
Thanks, Siobhan. Thanks for the invitation, even to all your listeners, viewers.
Good evening to you as well, Minister. So what type of services are the farmers receiving through this mitigation program at this point?
So, we focus on a number of areas. One, the trucking of water, to National Irrigation Commission. Thus far, we've been doing about 80,000 gallons of water each week, trucking directly to farmers. And we've been doing that since the end of May. I think one of the things is that having gotten the report from the meteorological services, we moved early in relation to our drought mitigation. But the reality is that we would have hoped that, it would have gotten some rain, but the dry period persists. And as such, we're increasing our allocations in that regard. So trucking is one. The other area is to provide storage support, so to provide our farmers with tanks, drip irrigation kits, so that when they get the water, they can store it and they can use it more efficiently, so it lasts them longer. We've also been focused on doing things like mulch, providing grass to some of the farmers, and helping them with training too, rather, so they can use these methodologies to retain more water in the soil. That's important. But one of the biggest programs that we've been implementing is our catchment program. So while it doesn't provide an immediate fix, one of the things that we have to do is ensure that each year we're better prepared for the dry conditions. So there have been, for individual farmers, if they do the excavation, we provide them with a pond liner for them to have their own catchment on their property. And then for farm groups, we do the excavation and the pond liner, so that if Siobhan will get a significant amount of rain during the dry period, or when we go into the rainy period, we can capture the water and use it during these dry spells.
And you mentioned trucking. What areas are currently being the most impacted by the drought, and are those the areas being prioritized for the water trucking?
Yeah, so normally, we do two truckings. We normally do trucking through the National Irrigation Commission, which really focuses on the belts that they already operated. So definitely the parishes of St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, parts of Trelawney, parts of South Manchester. And those are the areas that we've been focused on. Largely, a lot has happened in parts of South Elizabeth. They started to experience the dry conditions very early. And as it spread across South Manchester, we've been expanding and look to expand further. To rather now, as we action this part of the trucking, what will happen is that rather we'll be able to contract private truckers in areas where the farmers are not served by the National Irrigation Commission, or the National Irrigation trucks are not operational in those areas. Rather, we'll be able to engage private truckers and send water directly to them. So that's going to be the expansion. But definitely, starting on St. Elizabeth, parts of Trelawney, we have been running our trucking program.
Can you stay with us, Minister? We're up on a small break. Please, more after this.
This station raised me. It gave me a voice. And if Nationwide has ever meant something to you, come on in. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It's 6:30. Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the nation's business. We are talking drought mitigation with the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Floyd Green. So, Minister, those parishes that you outlined, it's unfortunate, but it seems those are also essentially most of the parishes that were also heavily impacted by Hurricane Melissa, which quite a double whammy there. Should Jamaicans expect some shortfall in terms of agricultural produce for the latter part of this year?
Yeah. Well, so far we've been managing it. We'll keep tabs on it. I think it could have been much worse if we never moved a little earlier. But as the drought persists, it gets more difficult, especially for our vegetable life. A lot of our farmers are outdoor farmers that depend on rainfall. So it does get harder. So we are looking to see if we can subside this with our green leafy vegetables. It does get harder for our fruit farmers, but we'll keep a pace of it. Part of what we do is to try and work with the farmers, see how much we can help them bring their crops to fruition, try and track the demand, see if the farmers are not planting. That's all the risk now. The farmers will hold back on planting because of the dry conditions, and as such, that would manifest itself in another, 2 months or so. So, we still keep it tabs on it. It's a little too early to tell you.
Okay. But any particular foods or any particular food crops that you are concerned about at this point, or you see some levels of supply restriction? Vegetables?
Our vegetable lines, our green leafy vegetables, things like cabbage, lettuce, always have a tough time, but especially because a lot of our greenhouse farmers are building back. So, that makes it a little bit more difficult because those are the ones that would normally fill the gap because they have, sort of climate control systems that can weather these dry conditions a little better. So our green leafy vegetables and definitely some of our fruit lines are the ones I would be more concerned about. So that would be things like melon, cantaloupe.
Oh, okay. And Minister, I know we're going through the El Nino this year, and even before that, we were having these almost annual droughts at this point. It seems that this has become the new normal. And you outlined one strategy, which is to have catchment facilities for each farm. But what is the long-term strategy now in terms of dealing what seems to be just a growingly regular part of the seasonal realities of Jamaica?
I think the catchment program and our storage and drip irrigation program has to be tremendously expanded. I think that's important. But we also have to continue to expand irrigation, right, which gives us a more consistent supply of water from our various aquifers. And we also have to look at new technology. So we are exploring some things like desalination to see if there's a system that can work for us at a price point that would make sense. So let's look at the technology, Chevron, to see what is possible. We've expanded irrigation, 700 acres in Parnassus, and we did another 800 acres in Abington Hall Bridgebed. If you see the Abington Hall Bridgebed system, which when you drive down the highway, you see that what we've done, taking the water from the river through canals into a massive reservoir, and then that will be pressure fed into our farmers. So that will really help. We have to continue to expand those systems because those systems provide great resilience in times of drought. But we have to look at the technology. So I've tasked the NIC to explore things like desalination, atmospheric water generation to see what can work, especially as you have rightfully said, we're going to continue to have these dry climates.
And Minister, I know we tend to be focused on the food, I would say the vegetables and the crops, but animals need water too as well. How are we in terms of that aspect of things?
No, that's a big issue. So one of the things RADA has been doing is significant technical support and training to help our farmers, especially our livestock farmers, to treat with this elevated heat. We did a study with the University of Lancaster to look at our animals and look at our small ruminants and how they do in house facilities as opposed to when they're out grazing. And one of the things that came out is that the design of the houses, if you're doing things like goats, are critical. Ensuring that you have your fans, ensuring that you do things like mist, ensuring that you have access to water for the animals and cool water, right? All of those things are critical, especially now. So we have been doing that, and we have been on, we spent a lot of time at Denby talking about that. And this is for all the animals. So whether it be poultry, how do you design your poultry houses? How do you ensure that you keep your animals at a certain temperature? How do you track the temperature? And what we're seeing now are a number of AI-related tools that help you to monitor your farm, even if you're not on the farm. So if the temperature goes up to a certain level, Siobhan, you'll get a notification. You can rush to the farm and try and do things, but also want them to design from the start. So the ventilation is critical. Our egg farmers have already said more. They're seeing some mortality in terms of their chickens with the high temperatures. That was the one farmer who has a AI system that monitors his farm. He said he saw a decline in production over the last weekend because of higher temperatures. So we continue to do the training, we continue to do the design, and we continue to intervene to help the farmers, our livestock farmers, as much as possible.
Excellent. And Minister, I wonder, in terms of the major irrigation projects such as Pedro Plains that are underway, do the drought conditions impact those works?
One of the things that we did with Pedro Plains was to look at the flow of the river in the good times and the bad times. So we are very convinced that the Black River can supply the irrigation needs even in times of drought. So the project and the system will be designed with that in mind. And clearly what that would do is take some pressure off some of the aquifers, some of the wells that we have now, and that would help in terms of potable water. So the study that we did for the Black River, we are confident that the flow is sufficient to the irrigation.
Excellent. And Minister, I suppose the question that a lot of Jamaicans are also ultimately going to ask, under the circumstances, and I know it tends to be a last measure, do we foresee the need for imports to fill any shortfalls, and could there be potential impacts in terms of pricing?
So I think, it's very, very important that today is very clear. And the way that we approach agricultural imports is that one is a last resort, and it's only contemplated if we see a clear downturn in supply, so much so that it would drive up the prices out of reach of the average consumer, right? So one of the things that we do is that we regularly assess, we look at the supply, we look at the demand, and we see what the shortfall is. So we only contemplate that is the shortfall is significant. So, that is something that if we have to, if we must, we will, but we're not looking at that right now. And again, we only look at that, in areas and for crops that we're incapable of producing, or they're incapable of supplying anything that could substitute thereof.
Okay, Minister. And just finally, under the circumstances, what's the trajectory for agriculture in terms of finishing out this year? I know we are already in recovery mode, and the sector is hit.
And we are seeing decline year on year, and that is expected because last year for these 2 quarters, we had record quarters. We had our best quarter in January, our best January quarter last year, and our best May quarter last year as well. And we were on track for a record year, and then this happened. So what we have been seeing is decline year on year, but we are seeing some positives. So, our vegetable lines increased in the first quarter and increase again in the second quarter. Things like Irish potatoes increase, which says that we are building a more resilient agricultural sector. Right? We're not where we want to be as yet. The truth is some of the things that we're doing now should have been done 30 years ago. That is the reality. So there's still frustration. There's still areas that the farmers don't have irrigation. There's still areas, especially in our hilly terrain, that the farmers don't have catchment ponds. And as such, when they go through these dry periods, it really takes a toll. But I think each year we can show how we're getting better at it. So I spoke about pilots of Amity Hall, Essex Valley. So we're moving in the right direction. So we will continue to see some contraction, but especially the areas that we're intervening. And I want to assure I am farmers that we have some interventions coming from them. I want to assure my livestock farmers that we're still under hurricane recovery, so we're going to help them, especially with some of their reconstruction, and our beekeepers we have another program to roll out for that. So recovery is not yet finished. I mean, this compounds it, but we have shown that in deadly showed we are building a much more resilient agricultural sector. So we know we will face these realities, but we will get past them.
Excellent. We do have a few minutes left to us, Minister, and I suppose I can, at this point, talk about matters of mining, and I mean specifically in terms of Alpart. I know you addressed the Parliament regarding the now planned reopening of the plant, but I wonder, is there a kind of buyer's remorse in terms of GISCO for the Alpart plant at this point? Why have they taken so long to get the plant back to where it needs to go?
I think they've gone through a number of challenges. I mean, they operated the plant for 3 years, and in those 3 years they weren't able to see a profit. Then COVID came. So remember, they had started the retooling process. In fact, they had set up one new area on the plant. That's very evident now when you still drive down there. And then COVID came, which made it even worse. And then coming out of COVID, we had Hurricane Beryl, we had Hurricane Melissa, and then you also have to look at what has been happening on the world market for aluminum prices. So I think it has just been a series of unfortunate incidents that have caused them to not only delay, but to take such a long time. The other thing is that they have taken a detailed approach. So they have gone and they have done a detailed feasibility study. They sent multiple teams. They met with various energy providers to look at what model. Then they went to different parts of the world to look at what they were doing that is more suited to the Jamaican situation. So when I met with them, they presented a detailed plan in relation to what they believe would be feasible, all the research that they have done. And, you know, the other thing that we have to appreciate is, you know, different cultures approach time differently. So we see 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and we say it's taking a long time, and they see it as preparation to ensure that they can operate for an even longer time. So, you know, one of the things that I met with them, I impressed upon them that, you know, the impact that opening GISCO is having on the economy, where we are now in relation to, you know, Hurricane Melissa and the need for that economic driver, and the fact that time, you know, we would have wanted to see it open before. And I think they appreciated that. We spoke with both the board and the governor, and I think now we're seeing some speed. One of the things I did last week was to pull together all our agencies and ministries that touch our concern the reopening. So we have formed now an internal committee across the ministries to look at things like, you know, environmental issues, work permitting issues, financing issues, things like, you know, customs, those things, to see if we can have a seamless pathway for them in relation to all that they need to do to get the reopening happening in earnest.
I'm happy to hear that, Minister, because if I recall, when we did have the plant running for that brief period of time, I believe it was something like a 500% increase in the mining sector, which is quite phenomenal.
And not to talk about the jobs and the knock on, you know, that it has things like the entire settlement of Manchester. I mean, the shops, the restaurants, the people who transport the workers, the taxmen. I mean, it really has a big knock-on effect. So we need it now more than ever, to be honest.
Thank you. That's Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Floyd Green. Thank you for joining us this evening, Minister. All the best. We take a quick break, listeners, and then come back with Around the World. And please, ladies and gentlemen, behave in the chat, please.
The Jamaica International Financial Services Authority promotes Jamaica as a jurisdiction for international financial services. Visit JIFSA at jifsa.gov.jm. The time by JIFSA is...
It's 6:44.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
The Festival and Things edition of the PBCJ Watch Party, Saturday, August 8 at PBCJ, 5 to 9 South Odeon Avenue. Vintage Jamaica Festival videos and performances by four-time festival song winner Roy Rayon. The Nexus Performing Arts Company, Blacka Ellis and Dion Silvera. MC Faye Ellington. Exciting Vendors Village opens at 4:30 with everything Jamaican. Showtime 6 p.m. The Festival and Things edition of the PBCJ Watch Party, sponsored by JCDC, Phase 3 Productions, Heritage Singers, Incognito Vacation Stay, the Office of the Supervisor of Insolvency, and the Office of the Government Trustee. Wear Jamaican colors.
And welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's time for Around the World. I think I said it last Friday that the world is on fire. I don't think there is a part of the planet at this point that is not feeling the ill effects of that heat. And as I said just last week, now we have again wildfires have forced around 60,000 people to evacuate parts of Washington state in the United States. 3 major blazes continue to burn around the city of Spokane on Monday, destroying hundreds of buildings and leaving thousands without power. No deaths or injuries have been confirmed. The fires in Spokane are among 16 large uncontained wildfires on landscape in Washington state as of Monday morning. Mayor Lisa Brown described the situation as the worst natural disaster the region has faced. The National Weather Service warned of extremely critical fire weather over the weekend, with strong winds and unusually dry conditions helping the flames spread rapidly. More in this report from CNN.
Nearly 65,000 families evacuated, 0% containment of these wildfires. Multiple dangerous fires are spreading across the Spokane area in Washington state. So far, officials say that more than 700 homes have been destroyed, and some of the images of the destruction that we're seeing, they're just tragedy. Watch this. That is what families were seeing from the water as they were trying to escape. Let's get to CNN's Julia Vargas Jones. She's on the scene in Spokane this morning. What are you hearing there today?
Okay, it's not a regular Monday in Spokane. People are waking up to see just the extent of this tragedy. As you mentioned, 65,000 residences evacuated to places like this, to shelters where they're faced with that uncertainty of whether or not they will even have a home to return to. And some of them who have been able to go and see their properties completely destroyed, engulfed by the fire and just spit out as just almost charcoal. They had really interesting insight into whether or not they could even return and build a life in these areas. Again, take a listen.
I don't think I'm going to rebuild here because I don't ever want to have to relive a fire coming up this hill again. And I've been in Spokane my entire 64 years because my little brother died in an accident when he was 6. And that's why I stayed close to my family.
It's so heartbreaking, Kate, to hear that kind of thinking coming from these residents. We saw so many people grappling with that very decision as we drove past these neighborhoods with row after row of home destroyed. Now, officials here from the National Guard is urging people to please be patient. It will take some time to return to their homes. There's a lot of work to be done here. As you mentioned, the fire is still at 0% containment, so there is that part of the work being done, but also clearing the roads, clearing debris for people to come back. That can take some time. Still 10,000 people without any kind of electricity around this area. It will be a difficult path to recovery.
And joining us right now to talk more about this is the Deputy Director for Spokane County Emergency Management, Chandra Fox, thank you so much for jumping on this morning. Can you just give me your assessment of where things stand this morning?
Good morning, Kate. Happy to be with you today. So this morning, we're not quite 48 hours into this incident. And as you noted, we have multiple fires burning in several locations across the county. As emergency management, we're still very, very focused on public safety. We're still working through the evacuation process, making sure that we're getting folks out of the area as needed. We did have some expansion in evacuation areas yesterday evening. So we have a little bit of an expansion on the Autumn Lane fire. It's a challenging time.
Do you have reports of anyone injured or unaccounted for?
So we have, at this point, fortunately, we've had no injuries to any of our public safety responders. We have lost some equipment. We lost, one of our fire districts lost a brush truck in the fires, I believe it was Sunday that happened. As far as loss of life, we have no information on that right now. We do have a number of missing persons reports that law enforcement is following up on. But to this point right now, we have no information on any potential fatality.
Okay, but the deputy fire chief I was speaking through for the county, he was concerned that those missing persons reports were going to start coming in since this really blew through so quickly. It started and came through so quickly. The latest we have had is that there are more than 700 homes destroyed and nearly 65,000 families have been forced to evacuate across the Spokane area. Can you give me, is that the latest numbers you have?
That's pretty much what we know right now. Of what we refer to is 700 structures. So that does include some outbuildings and some shops in the rural areas, but that will be, unfortunately, the majority of that number will be primary homes.
The deputy fire chief I was speaking to also just said really plainly that it's not only devastating, but also just something that he's really just not seen before and just how fast this has moved. Can you, Chandra, just give me your sense of that, your experience with this so far, what you're hearing from people on what is unfolding?
It really is. It's not normal for us. I mean, wildfire is our primary hazard for Spokane County. We have a very risk-prone environment. It's very typical for the entirety of the county to be under some level of drought condition during the summer months. But unfortunately, this year, because we had a very warm and uneventful winter, we did not have the snowpack that we normally have. And so at this point, we're here on the 3rd of August, and in terms of fuel load and fuel condition across the landscape, we're actually about 6 weeks ahead in terms of conditions. So where we're at today are conditions we normally see at the end of August or into September. So we're very concerned that not only are we under heightened risk, we're also potentially looking at fires well into October.
Yeah, not only what you're dealing with now, but what this portends if you're already here today, what the rest of this fire season is going to look like for you guys. Chandra, thank you very much. You guys have a lot of work ahead of you. I really appreciate it.
Potential is not good.
Not good, but hard at work at it. Thank you so much, Chandra Fox. I really appreciate it. Sarah.
Worst they've ever seen, unprecedented. The scenes coming out of there in Spokane and over there in Europe, in Spain and France, it's really, I think at this point, if there's any individual who can still consider themselves a climate change denier, at this point, they really need to reassess that thinking, because I think the evidence there now is overwhelming. And there, as I said earlier, there is no part of the globe at this point, even in the most chilly areas of this world that are not feeling the ill effects of global warming at this point. And it's really just unfortunate. And we here in CARICOM, more actually Jamaica, small island developing states, lowland states such as Jamaica, who face the severe brunt of it, not only in droughts, but just you can see where areas of the country are literally disappearing as a result of rising sea levels. And we hope that world leaders finally can see the realities, know that even they, who for the most part have been spared it, can now see the realities and the need for action to do something about it. So, listeners, that's where we leave Nationwide at 5. Please stay tuned for the comment section with Mahiri Stewart and Shaloy Smikle. Special shout out to all the YouTubers this evening: Carleen, David Nebar, Devon White, Whom I, Leroy Rotti, George Porgy Walton, Dwight Bonner. All of you, thank you so much. You are the ones who make Nationwide News what it is. Thanks to our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Andrew the Glen, the big man Bugs Anderson. Special shout out to Rihanna Fulton, who assisted Dana this evening, and all the best to the news and production department led by the very capable Cara Powell. I'm Siobhan Campbell. I've been your host. Have a good evening.